It was just another regular morning when Sarah stumbled upon an online article that made her blood run cold. Critical colon cancer symptoms you should never ignore. As she scanned the ominous header, her eyes froze upon a startling statistic. Colon cancer rates were rising rapidly, not just in older populations, but increasingly in younger people as well. What was behind this concerning trend? Why does it seem like cancer is everywhere these days? The word itself evokes visceral reactions of fear and helplessness. Does getting cancer mean game over? Or is there hope, perhaps unlocked in prevention and early detection? The questions swirled in Sarah's mind as she contemplated her own health. Sure, she considered herself reasonably fit and active for her age. But was that enough? Or was she also at risk without even realizing it? Like cold water to the face, the article was a wake-up call. To dig deeper into the colon conundrum, Sarah read on. The mystery of why cancer rates are rising. The article explained how cancer remains one of the most devastating diseases today. Specifically, colorectal cancer is the third most commonly diagnosed and second deadliest cancer. But what makes the fight against colon cancer even more complex is the sizable industry built around it, fueled by money and rife with confusing information. Sarah nodded slowly to herself. The sheer amount of contradictory diet and health advice out there was mind-boggling enough to make one hesitant to make any lifestyle changes at all. But what if much of the confusion was distraction from the real modifiable risk factors? That the rise in cancer had less to do with genetics and more to do with aspects within personal control? The article continued on to challenge a common misconception, that cancer risk is primarily genetic. While family history can increase predisposition, it is not the whole picture. Genes may load the gun, but lifestyle choices pull the trigger. In other words, daily habits and environment are emerging as pivotal in many chronic diseases, and colon cancer is no exception. Sarah felt her curiosity piqued. Might her own lifestyle contain hidden risk factors that could potentially set the stage for cancer later on? She read on to uncover more. Colon Cancer 101. The article laid out key colon cancer basics. Where does colon cancer develop? Inside small clumps of cells called polyps that form on the intestinal wall. At first, these polyps often cause no symptoms as they remain small. Over years, some benign polyps can eventually gain mutations, allowing them to multiply faster while avoiding cell death. It is these abnormal cell growths that set the foundation for cancer. So, while genetics impact risk, the development of colon cancer itself has a strong environmental trigger. Factors that encourage cells to divide rapidly and dodge cell death. Sarah paused, letting this sink in. She pictured a tiny polyp on the intestinal wall, innocuously passing food along. And yet, like a ticking time bomb, certain factors could spur this tiny lump into a society of clones, expanding without restraint. She shook off the thought and continued reading. Next, the article emphasized that since polyps rarely cause symptoms initially, routine screenings are imperative for early detection and removal before cancer develops, especially for those over 50 or with family history. Screening typically involves a colonoscopy, a procedure allowing gastroenterologists to visually inspect the entire colon for flat or raised polyps. Suspicious polyps can be biopsied or removed. Wait a second. Sarah hesitated, feeling slight discomfort at the idea of some doctor poking around her colon, but she certainly didn't want to gamble with something as serious as cancer either. She made a mental note to look into screening guidelines later. For now, she focused back on the article, which had segued into warning signs not to ignore. Red flag symptoms. When should you worry? Persistent change in bowel habits. More constipation, diarrhea, narrower stool. Blood visible in stool, darker stools. Persistent abdominal pain, bloating. Fatigue, weakness. Unexplained weight loss, anemia. Sarah's eyes narrowed, scrutinizing this list. Were these vague symptoms just part of getting older, or signs of something more sinister? How could one even tell the difference? What if she noticed these symptoms tomorrow? Would it mean cancer is already advanced or spreading? How late would be too late? Almost as though anticipating Sarah's rising alarm, the article transitioned smoothly into the next section, an overview of what promotes polyps into tumors, and better yet, what prevents this. Phew, thought Sarah. Forewarned is forearmed. Time to get serious about prevention. She dove back into the article, newly galvanized. Yet the latest statistics suggested things were still moving in the wrong direction. Clearly, the message wasn't getting through. So on that note, before revealing the habits to help turn the tables on colon cancer, the article paused to remind readers to like, subscribe, and share the article if finding it helpful so far. Sarah nodded to herself. Solid advice. Over 190,000 people die yearly from colon cancer in the US alone. Getting the word out mattered. She gave the article page a like and pinged it to a group chat with a few friends. Time to learn about stemming this life-threatening tide through lifestyle and habits. Prevention is the best medicine. The article outlined various diet and lifestyle factors now strongly correlated with either feeding or fighting colon cancer growth. Cancer-feeding culprits, heavily processed meats. Example, deli meats with nitrates, nitrites, refined sugars, refined grains, fast or fried foods, excess body fat, excess alcohol smoking, chronic inflammation, cancer-fighting heroes, plant foods, fruits, vegetables, beans, whole grains, olive oil, nuts, seeds. Example, pumpkin seeds with phytosterols, fatty fish, poultry eggs, vitamin D, exercise. Good sleep habits. Sarah raised an eyebrow, struck by the contrast. So cancer risk potentially starts right in the grocery store, and previously benign polyps morph based on what the body is routinely exposed to. It was eye-opening how certain foods clearly nourished health, while others secretly set the stage for disease. She wondered, could switching up some dietary staples turn the tide when it comes to cancer probabilities? The article seemed to suggest yes. Given the right lifestyle shift, the body may help keep rogue cells and lesions at bay. And some foods have anti-inflammatory and antioxidant benefits that add extra insurance against proliferating cell growth. For example, vibrantly colored fruits and vegetables provide vitamins and minerals that regulate cell turnover. Olive oil and oily fish supply anti-inflammatory fats. Nuts and seeds contain plant chemicals associated with apoptosis, programmed cell death that keeps development tightly controlled. In contrast, it is heavily processed products that have faced the most suspicion when it comes to carcinogens disrupting this careful balance. Sarah nodded slowly, the facts sinking in further. She pictured a tiny precancerous lesion under siege, wavering against a battalion of colorful plant chemicals, while reinforcements of protective fats marched steadily onward. Pretty soon, a once dangerous lump acquiesces, forced into submission or suicide by molecules regulating growth and order. A small smile formed on Sarah's lips. So cancer could have an Achilles heel after all, and that weakness might start right in the grocery cart. Re-energized with this glimpse of hope, Sarah scrolled down. Just 2 final sections remained, a closer look at colonoscopies along with some parting words. Should you get screened? When it came to early detection, colonoscopies are still upheld as the gold standard. Why? Because they allow doctors to visually inspect the entire length of colon, detect flat lesions missed by other tests, remove precancerous polyps for closer examination. For those nervous about discomfort, colonoscopies are typically done under light sedation. Risks of bleeding or infection are low, yet those at higher risk are still advised not to delay. Guidelines suggest starting regular colonoscopies at these ages. No family history, age 45. Family history, age 40 or 10 years before relatives' diagnosis age. Routine screening means precancerous polyps can be caught early and removed before turning malignant. And emerging research suggests the right diet and lifestyle choices may help prevent this progression in the first place. So don't ignore the warning signs. Stay vigilant with screening. But just as importantly, stay proactive about minimizing modifiable risks through diet and lifestyle habits. habits. In closing, the article emphasized feeling free to leave additional questions or personal experiences with colon cancer in the comments. This helps spark meaningful discussion so others can learn. For anyone desiring more guidance on preventing colon and other cancers holistically, a free special report is also available for download. Sarah nodded, making another mental note. She had found the article incredibly helpful and eye-opening. Sure, improving diet and lifestyle could seem complicated initially, but considering the alternative, a little extra meal prep was surely worth it. In fact, she felt motivated to swing by the store tonight and load up that cart with a spectrum of vibrant edibles to push her health to the next level. After all, every positive step mattered, not just for fewer polyps, but more years of health to live life vibrantly and fully. Now bolstered with purpose, Sarah signed off social media feeling energized by this wake-up call rather than afraid. For she now understood cancer risk reflected daily choices within her power to steer. Surely, this was something to share far and wide. The end.